Today, we're going to write a story about going on an adventure with a magical creature. For today's writing, we're just going to be thinking about who the characters are in our story and where the story is happening. Sometimes we have so many good ideas in our brains, but we just can't write about all of them. So we have to use the pick ideas strategy to choose one really good idea that we're excited to write about. Now, when we use the pick idea strategy, we think of and write down all of the ideas that we might want to write about, and then we choose one thing from that list. Now, sometimes I have a really hard time picking just one idea, so I'm going to use the pick idea strategy to come up with ideas about who the characters are in my story and where the story is happening. So for today's story, again, we're writing about going on an adventure with a magical creature. And I know a magical creature is anything that my imagination can create. And that might mean an animal that talks or an animal that does something unusual. Maybe it's two animals that are combined, or maybe it's a completely new animal or creature that no one has ever seen before. Wow, I have a lot of ideas in my brain based on what a magical creature is. Okay, so my first step is going to be to write down all of my ideas about who the character is in my story in my Pick Ideas graphic organizer. So one idea I have of who the magical creature is in my story is a talking bear. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to write talking bear on my graphic organizer. Ooh, another thing that comes to mind is of a giraffe with wings. That could be my magical creature. And I also really love unicorns. So I'm going to write giraffe with wings and unicorns on my graphic organizer as well. I'm writing down all of my ideas first. Okay, so now my second step is that I'm going to look at my list that I just wrote down and I'm going to think about two things. First, which magical creature do I really want to write about in my story? And second, which magical creature would I have enough ideas to write a full story about going on an adventure with? Well, let me think about my list. So first I put talking bears, but I'm actually pretty afraid of bears, so I might be too scared to really go on an adventure with a bear. I don't think that I'm going to pick bear. Let me look at my other items. I do really like unicorns, but I think that I might want something more unusual than a unicorn. And I'm also really proud of my idea of a giraffe with wings. I think that's a really creative idea. And I also feel like I have a lot of thoughts about things that I could do on an adventure with a giraffe that has wings. So I think that I could probably write a full story about going on an adventure with a winged giraffe. I'm going to pick giraffe with wings by circling it. Now we're going to use the same steps that we just used for our who category to come up with ideas about where the story takes place. We're going to use the pick idea strategy to think of all of our ideas and write them down and then pick one. I'll start first. One idea that I have is of the story taking place at the park. So I'm going to write park on my graphic organizer under where. Now, I need your help to come up with other ideas about where the story might take place. And we can record them all in our graphic organizer, and eventually we can look at our list and pick one by circling it. What ideas do you have?